is recording. You can begin.
Okay. Everyone ready? I call to order the October 27th, 2021 Area Board of Zoning Appeals of Tippecanoe County meeting. First item on the agenda is a roll call.
Steve
Eric?
Clevenger.
Present.
Gary Schroeder.
Present.
Michelle Dennis.
Present.
Ed Butts.
Present.
Tom Andrew.
Present.
Frank Donaldson.
Present.
Jen Decker.
Present.
Quorum present.
Thank you. We have a full house today. Next item on the agenda is approval of the previous meeting minutes.
I move to approve the minutes from the September 22nd, 2021 BZA public hearing.
I second.
Any comments or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. New business.
All right, well, as you can see, we've had a shakeup in our agenda. BZA 2062, 2063, and 2064. Each of those has been continued to December 1st, all three at petitioner's request. BZA 2065 has been withdrawn by the petitioner, and BZA 2066 is ready to be heard.
You'll hear the public hearing motion, please.
I move that there be incorporated in the public hearing portion of each application be heard this evening and to become part of the evidence at such hearing, the Unified Zoning Ordinance, the Unified Subdivision Ordinance, the Comprehensive Plan, the bylaws of the Area Board of Zoning Appeals, the application and all documents filed therewith, the staff report and recommendations on the applications to be heard this evening, and responses from checkpoint agencies.
I second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'll go ahead and take the continuances, please.
I move to continue BZA 2062, James N. Tyler and Jennifer L. Neville, BZA 2063, Reasons LLC, and BZA 2064, Mark Your Space, Michael Sobel, to the December 1st, 2021 BZA meeting.
I second.
You can have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. BZA 2062, 2063, and 2064 will be heard at our December 1st meeting, which is our next meeting, and BZA 2065 has been withdrawn. I'd like to briefly describe our procedures for this meeting. Each case will be heard following a motion and a second from the board. We'll ask the staff to report on its findings. Following the staff report, we will ask the petitioner to present his or her case, after which anyone wishing to support the petitioner's request for variance or special exception will be asked to come forward. After hearing from those, or the petitioner and those speaking on his or her behalf, he will ask those speaking against the petition to present their arguments. The petitioner will then be allowed to rebut arguments raised by those in opposition to his or her petition. Following the rebuttal, the board may wish to ask questions of the petitioner, supporters, and opponents of the petition or of the staff. The staff will have the opportunity at this time to make any necessary clarifying comments. We will then vote by prescribed ballot. 4 votes are necessary to make any decision. In the absence of 4 votes, either for or against, the petition is automatically continued to the next meeting. Please observe the following guidelines for the sake of time and fairness to all. State your name and address for the record before you speak. Limit your remarks to 5 minutes or less. Do not repeat arguments that have been brought up by others. Remember that all visual aids used to support your arguments will remain the property of the board. Cell phones must be turned off while the meeting is in session. Please step out of the room before using your cell phone. With that in mind, we'll hear our first and only case.
I move to hear and vote on BZA 2066, Board of Commissioners of Tippecanoe County. Petitioners requesting a special exception to allow the expansion of the county's community correction workforce facility operating 24 hours per day, 7 days a week at 2800 North 9th Street Road, Fairfield, Longlois Reserve, 23-4.
I second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second, and we'll hear from staff.
All right, thank you. We'll begin with the location map and zoning. As you can see, the proximity to the river, we have a lot of floodplain zoning all over the place. Are your screens not working?
No, those aren't working.
Really? Okay. All right.
We have it in front of,
Maureen may be able to fix that. We'll let her continue. So obviously, we have a lot of I-3 zoning in the immediate vicinity, and then some general business zoning. We do have a little spot zone of R1 that was done recently for someone that was interested in converting an old historic schoolhouse building from a commercial use back to residential, you may recall. So that one's off to the races. In terms of uses, mostly non-residential, obviously, in the immediate vicinity. And that pattern has been that way for some time. The floodplain has been certified in this area, so the acreage is not changing at all as a result of this petition. It's working within the existing acreage for both the site and its total footprint that includes floodplain zoning. Obviously, the project itself is only going to be within the I-3 zone, as you can imagine. North 9th Street, let's go ahead and zoom in a bit. North 9th Street in this location is a secondary arterial, and all right-of-way is already in place for any future expansion. Required parking for this particular use is 1 space per 10 inmates, plus 1 space per employee on the largest shift. According to petitioner, the largest shift will have 45 employees, and presently on the site there is 94 spaces, but 62 would only be required presently. Given the jostling that's going around with the expansion, new parking lots being created with this site plan, we can probably go to that next. That will essentially add on to what's being taken away. So there'll continue to be 94 parking spaces. So it'll be conforming for parking. That was the reason for the withdrawal of the variance request. Of course, city utilities are available for the site. Proposed addition, I believe this is the only plan. Yeah. We'll go ahead and back up there. It's a proposed 2-story addition, approximately 110 by 120 foot. It is allowing for a reconfiguration of the facility, and I can let the petitioner elaborate. Essentially, existing office space will be relocated to the new addition, freeing up other space for inmates. Lighting plan for the project shows lights along the perimeter of the site, as would be typical near doorways, just standard security lighting. And beyond that, beyond the parking and the addition and the additional lighting, that's what you get. So on October 6th, the Executive Committee of the APC voted that granting the request would not substantially adversely affect the comprehensive plan. And Section 3.1 of the UZO does authorize a special exception in the I-3 zone for an expansion of this use. And it's staff's opinions that the requirements and development standards for the expansion as prescribed in the UZO will be met by this petition, and that granting the petition will not subvert the general purposes served by the ordinance. This facility has been in operation for a long time and is providing clear community benefit. And of course, granting special exception, in our opinion, will not materially and permanently injure other property or uses in the vicinity because the expansion is essentially, the traffic generated will be negligible at best, in our opinion. Outdoor lighting is consistent with this proposed use, and there's no immediate adjacent properties that would be negatively impacted. There will be no additional noise production as a result of this once construction is completed, and 24-hour operation is typical. So we are recommending approval. Happy to answer any questions.
thank you, Mr. Aguirre. Petitioner or petitioner's representative, Commissioner Murtaugh.
Good evening, Tom Murtaugh. Do you want an address? 20 North 3rd Street, Lafayette,
There you
Indiana. Thank you for your time this evening. I concur with everything that was stated by Ryan. I appreciate the staff's help and guidance. It's interesting being on this side of the podium for this. Just to expand on what we're doing at this facility, this is a project that we're doing. It does not add any additional beds for work release. What it does is adds programming space to add mental health and substance abuse components to the work release and the video surveillance programs. It also provides space for life skills around parenting, GED programs, other types of things. So these are folks who have been in the judicial system, have typically been to jail for a period of time and then sentenced to serve the rest of their time through community corrections. And these are folks that we have seen have obviously some challenges in life, and instead of doing the expensive step of moving to expanding the jail, we're looking to this alternative to hopefully providing these services that'll get folks out of the system and provide them with some assistance that they need to be productive citizens. So we're very excited about this project. As he stated, it adds about 22,000 square feet, two-story building with the Sally Port on the north end. There'll be some rehab of the existing building because intake is actually moving to the new portion. But we expect this to be wrapped up within 22. And like I said, I'll be happy to answer any questions. There's a solar array that's going in the western portion. That's what those black lines are. So, and that's as part of the project. So that will provide power for this facility. So,
Thank you, Mr. Murtaugh.
thank you.
Seeing no one in the audience, I'm assuming we have no one else speaking in favor or speaking in opposition. So I will take questions or comments from the board. Thanks, Tom. I was curious what the black lines were. That makes perfect sense. And good use of the land. If not, we have a ballot.
I have 7 ballots in hand, and it is 7-0 in favor of granting the special exception.
Thank you. Special exception has been granted. Administrative matters.
Just a little notice for those that don't know, longtime staff member Don Lamb is retiring at the end of the year. It's slightly sooner than that, and I wanted to invite anyone who's interested. You'll see probably more formal invitations go out to all the board commission members, but it's going to be December 3rd at 2 o'clock in this room. That'll be his last day, and we'll have a public party for him there. So he's been here a long time, and we're going to miss him. So come out if you can. Thanks.
Thank you, Ryan. Unless any member has an objection, the chair will order the findings of each member casting a vote for the majority decision of the board to be the collective findings of the board in support of the decision of the board. Hearing none, it is so ordered. Any other discussion from the board? Hearing none, I'll take the last motion.
I move to adjourn.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
This conference is no longer being recorded.